Build yourself, brick by brick.
What's going on, everybody? Today's video, I'll just get right into it. Today's video, range of motion. It's a real favorite of mine. I'll kind of explain why later in the video. But I thought first I'd preface it with a question. Question is, how many times have you been in the gym, like a commercial gym, and you just see this big, buff, veteran weightlifter attacking some noob on their range of motion? Hey, you're not squatting deep enough, you're not locking out hard enough, you're hitching the deadlift. It's great. It's a great time. But is he always right? Is range of motion, full range of motion, the one-all be-all? And to that noob that he's attacking, it is. Because this guy's big, buff, looks like he's been doing this for years, and I'm just a noob. So, yeah, whatever he says is gospel to me. But, as I said earlier, is that the case? I don't think so. Hopefully I'll change your mind, or you'll just learn something new about range of motion. But a lot of people, or I guess, yeah, a lot of people care differently about range of motion. If you're a power lifter, someone who's building strength, you really care about range of motion. You're obsessed with it. Because in competition, power lifter is graded on how well they execute or how much weight they can lift on their one rep. It's one rep, so you want to really make sure to get 100% of that range of motion. Fully lock out, go below parallel on the squat, stand up straight with the deadlift, all that stuff. Whereas a bodybuilder might not care about range of motion as much. Someone who's building muscle might not care about it as much. Not only not care about it, but find ways to shorten range of motion while being more efficient in building muscle. And I'm here to tell you, it's possible to do. You might be thinking, oh, this sounds like some community college nonsense if I ever heard it. Shorten range of motion and maximize muscle growth. Yeah. Not only am I going to claim that, I'm going to prove it. And as to why this is one of my favorite things to talk about is I'm going to prove it with graphs. I got graphs that I'm going to show you guys and hopefully convince you that what I'm saying isn't complete BS. So I'm familiar with graphs, so these graphs might actually make sense. Just bear with me. Let me jot down my axes real quick. So, jot down my axes. Not only that, I'm going to label them. This y-axis here, we're going to call tension. And by tension, it was just from my last video, a couple videos ago. Muscle tension, time under tension, where you're building muscle. Tempo of the rep, tension, just muscle tension. And this one, I'm going to call it. This axis here, will be the rep, one rep as a function of time. So I'll just call this one time. And the exercise I will use as an example, something simple like a curl. Barbell curl, dumbbell curl. I'll just say curls. More curls, more girls, right? So, if I'm starting with, let's say, a barbell or a dumbbell curl, the starting position, hopefully we could all agree, is my arms are pretty much parallel to my body. I have the weight in my hand. Pretty much no muscle activity whatsoever. So this is obviously 0. You might be saying, man, no muscle activity. When I'm holding the dumbbells or the barbells, I'm getting tired. How is there no muscle activity? There isn't. It's purely taxing your nervous system. That's why you're feeling fatigued, even though the muscles really aren't engaged. So I'm going to put a 0 here. As I do the barbell curl, I lift it up to my chest or my chin. Here, still, at this point, no muscle tension whatsoever. So that we'll call that the middle of the rep. That'll be here, let's say. As I lower it back down, it's back in its starting position. Still no muscle activity. So beginning, middle, end of the rep. So here it's like this, here it's like this, and then here it's back where it started. As somewhere between 90 and here, and even a little bit lower, there's maximum muscle tension. So from here to here, it's going to kind of look like a bell curve. Okay? And unfortunately, what I see a lot of people do when they curl, they curl up and they drop the weight. They drop it. They let gravity do all the work. They just big curl, nice form, and then boom. It's like, what? It's like you're leaving money on the table. Because by doing that, you stay at zero through the remainder of the rep. Right? From here, obviously there's no muscle work because gravity is doing everything. Things want to fall down. That should make sense. So by doing that, you go from zero and you stay at zero for the remainder of the rep, leaving a lot of tension on the table. What I would recommend, you got your curl, lower it down with a controlled tempo. As I'm doing this, bicep, it's tense, it's on fire. You're controlling it down, you're fighting gravity, so to speak. So as you're doing this, you'll see there's a little plateau, and then it comes back down. So this plateau is your descent. Obviously, not as much tension as the incline, which hopefully that makes sense, but it's more time under tension, because this is kind of a peak, this is a plateau. So there's pros and cons to each side. You might be saying, hey, how does this explain your claim of shorter ranges of motion build more muscle? How does this graph, it's a nice graph and all, but how does it prove your claim? Then you see another guy who's got the barbell 90 degrees, let's say like this. And he's only going from 90 degrees, let's say 45 degrees. He's just banging them out like this. Boom, 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 boom. Very short range of motion, right? Here to here, 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 here. Very short. But the whole time he's doing that, 10 reps, 20 reps, 30 reps, the biceps are on fire. Big tension. How is that? Because he chose his range of motion very carefully. He's bouncing between the peak here. So he's living in this area, maximizing tension, while if say this is 100% of your range of motion, he's only doing this. He didn't just shorten the range of motion, he's doing a fraction of it. And his biceps are burning while he's doing it. So he's doing less work. I don't want to say less work, but he's shortened this. He's working kind of the definition of working smarter, not harder. Would I recommend doing this all the time? No. If you're a beginning if you're just getting into lifting, you're a beginner, kind of like the noob I talked about in the beginning, work on your technique. Work on your technique, get stronger, get conditioned, and as you progress into those next levels, then you can fool around here. But I'm just saying, this is something that exists. That's all I'm saying. So hopefully that helped. I do got one more that I'd like to go over. Today's Monday. I did a hell of a chest day this morning, so I'm going to do the same graph, but for bench press. I love bench press. So all right, bench press. So with the bench press, you start the rep locked out. Let's say you've already unracked it, you're starting locked, boom. You might be thinking, man, I'm holding 200-300 pounds of weight. There has to be muscle activity. And once again, analogous to when you're holding the dumbbells parallel or up here, holding the weight stiff like this, you're shaking, you're just taxed. That's all a pure expression of the nervous system. So once again, this is where we're starting the rep. it's at 0, right? And you slowly descend the weight down onto your chest. Obviously, you're not going to let gravity do too much of the work because you're holding 300 pounds. You don't want to bang it on your chest, and I don't have to explain why you wouldn't want to do that. But as you descend it down, it's analogous to you releasing the barbell. So when you come down with the bench press, you're going to see this plateau that we saw on this side of the graph, but now it's on this side. And then as the bar hits the chest, it's motionless on the chest, or the exact instant where the downward motion becomes upward motion, that exact instant, there's no more muscle activity. Then all of a sudden, you're given the cue, the mental cue, press. You press up, and then you lock it out. You'll see this guy again. And then as you lock out, you're right where you began, right here. You got your nice peak. It's a little bit taller than the plateau, which hopefully that makes sense. A lot more muscles going into pressing it. You got triceps, chest, all that stuff. So, going back to the guy that knows how to maximize his bang for, get the most bang out of his buck, you'll see him benching like this. He's not fully coming down and he's not fully extending. He's living here. All that tension, just boom, 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 boom. Burning the chest, the triceps, the shoulders, the forearms, they're just burning at that point. Love it. 10 out of 10. And then you got the other guys, the other extreme. The guys that are locked out and just doing this. They're living here. Don't be those guys. Don't be those guys. They think they're lifting a lot. They're just doing this, looking like an idiot. You don't want to be there. You might not want to be here either. You might want to just, like I said earlier, get good at the lift, get strong, get conditioned, and then as you dive deeper, fool around with these ranges of motion. So, hope you learned something. And if you got any other questions, I enjoy topics like these. You know how to reach me. Yeah, buddy.